The latest poll just dropped today, Morning Consult, and it shows that about a week or so after DeSantis officially launched his campaign, his support is stagnant. He has not moved the needle in his first week out on the trail, despite some ubiquitous presence of staffers in places like Iowa, et cetera. He trails Trump by 34 percentage points among GOP primary voters. Trump has 56. DeSantis has 22, which is very similar to his standing right before he launched on May 24th. I just looked at the sort of a graph that shows you the Trump line goes like this, and the DeSantis line, there it is. The DeSantis line was kind of even, not even, but kind of going along the same path with Trump back in December, though 20 points below. And then there was a huge gap where the Trump one starts to go up and the DeSantis one starts to go down. And you know when that happened? April of 2023. Guess what date Trump was arraigned? April 4th. The indictment, I think, came down at the last day of March. It was a runaway home run for Donald Trump. The people saw him as persecuted. The GOP has sided with him more than ever. And DeSantis has not been able to make up the difference. This, as now Mike Pence is officially getting into the race. And let's not forget about Chris Christie and also the governor of North Dakota, whose name I can't remember right now. So what do you make of those stats, Jesse?
This is the challenge the DeSantis camp faces. And the trouble with this is some challenges don't have a good answer, Megyn. It's not that Donald Trump has been arraigned and got more popular. It's that Donald Trump is going to be arraigned again, probably twice. Donald Trump is in serious legal trouble in Washington, D.C. He's in legal trouble in Georgia as well, as you well know. And I want to explain this thing to people because people get caught up in their emotions. I know it's unjust. I know it's not right. Set that aside. Washington, D.C., New York City, places like that are not America anymore. We're talking communist judges, communist juries, who over 95% Democrats who think Donald Trump's the Antichrist. There's a chance, not zero. In fact, I would argue it's over 50 that Donald Trump's going to jail. But the problem for the DeSantis camp is, what do you do about that? The second Donald Trump gets arraigned, the trials are going to begin. He's going to possibly even be sentenced. There's no answer the DeSantis campaign can give to the people that's going to calm their fears down or calm their anger down, I guess I should say, and turn towards him. It is the challenge they face. I think DeSantis, so far from what I've seen, has run a great campaign. I'm impressed by his staff. I think their messaging is good. But again, they can do everything perfectly. But if the GOP primary voter continues to feel that Donald Trump is their guy because he's being so persecuted by a corrupt system, what can DeSantis say, Megyn? Nothing. What can he say? What's he supposed to do? Go out there and say, this is wrong. I'm sorry, but vote for me instead? He can't take advantage of it. That'll just offend people. I don't know that there is a good answer. I don't know that there is one.
Maybe he could get indicted.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody indicted. Everybody gets persecuted.
You say that, but that's probably what it would take, Megyn. Think about that. Okay, let's assume Donald Trump has 35% of the GOP primary base. They are tempered. They are with him. It doesn't matter what happens now. They will vote for Donald Trump. What more of a percentage does he get every single time the people see the DOJ, the FBI, these Soros prosecutors come down and politically persecute him? You get a big middle finger vote just based off of that, based off of how the fact that they're persecuting him so badly. But again, this is why that's why I don't stress about the GOP primary too much. One, we have much bigger fish to fry, bigger things going on than Trump or DeSantis ever could be. And two, look, just like Democrats who go vote Democrat every time in New York City and then watch it turn into a hellhole, the GOP primary voter is going to have an opportunity to choose the candidate they want, and we will get the candidate we deserve 100% of the time. There won't be cheating to blame in the GOP primary. There will be no fingers pointed. Whoever comes out of that GOP primary as the candidate, that is the candidate the GOP deserves, and we're going to get him.
Everything you just said reminded me of Jim Comey, who's out there. My God, help us. He's also marketing a book, Jesse. He's marketing a book. He's written some novel and sat down with Jen Psaki in just a stomach-turning exchange where they're discussing the possibility of Trump being indicted many more times and also Comey's fears about Trump potentially becoming the nominee and winning again. Listen to this.
Can you envision a scenario where Trump manages to win back the White House and justice is delayed?
I could. I don't want to, but I could. I mean, it's this crazy world that Donald Trump has dragged this country into, but he could be wearing an ankle bracelet while accepting the nomination. Well, think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies. I'm sure I'm on the enemies list. Because the president constitutionally does oversee the executive branch entirely, which includes the Department of Justice, prosecutors and investigators. And so he could direct that individuals be pursued.
That individuals be pursued. That the president could influence the DOJ to go after private citizens, Jesse. The horror.
Could you imagine if we lived in a country, Megyn, where the president of the United States would politically prosecute his opponents? For instance, if, say, you were walking by the Capitol on January 6th, what if we had a president who sent the FBI after you? If you were a pro-life activist and you happened to be reading Bible verses or singing worship songs out in front of an abortion clinic, what if we had a president who sent the DOJ after you? What if we had a president who, while the other guy, the presumptive nominee, was running for office, had the DOJ working up multiple cases against you? Can you imagine if we lived in a country like that? What a banana republic that would actually be, Megyn.
Not to mention if you're a parent who speaks out about the COVID restrictions at a school board and you get labeled a domestic terrorist after the White House coordinated a letter to the DOJ about you, or you're a parent who went to that church out in California during the COVID restrictions and worshiped anyway while you got spied on in your prayer circles by the FBI. Imagine the horror, Jim Comey, of that actually happening.
And he mentioned that ankle bracelet thing you played at the very beginning there, Megyn. I heard that yesterday. And the first thing I thought, maybe I'm paranoid by this point in time, the first thing I thought was that was a warning. James Comey is not some outsider, sadly. I know he's a gigantic goober, but he's not some outsider. A quick side note, it chaps me that right now his book is 2 spots ahead of my book on the Amazon bestsellers. So everybody better go to jessekellybook.com. I better overtake that dork by the end of the day. Anyway, he's not some outsider. This guy is as wired in as anybody out there. I took that as a warning, and I'm going to warn everybody right now. I'm sure people already realize this. You're going to face an election cycle like nobody has ever seen in the history of the country, where perhaps the nominee, maybe the likely nominee, is going to be on trial, going to be arrested, going to be arraigned. I don't think people have mentally prepared themselves for what's coming in over the next year, Megyn. It's going to be wild.
Mm-hmm. Although the Democrats are salivating at the imagery, salivating at it. Be careful. Be careful what you wish for. Anything could happen. Like Biden falls, Trump gets it, Biden falls, nobody wants Kamala, and Bob's your uncle. We got a President Trump again. I don't think the left has thought it through. There's so many things I want to get to, but let me talk about another candidate. You didn't bite on Chris Christie, so I'm guessing you're not feeling the tingly feeling about his entry.
Well, I don't care about, honestly, I don't care about any of them but Trump and DeSantis, because I don't think any of them can win. And most of them I have really nothing but scorn for. Chris Christie presents something that may be interesting in the race. Not that he in and of himself is interesting, but Christie is the first of the candidates to get in the race that is a publicly declared enemy of Trump. All the other candidates, since they've gotten in the race, they've done nothing but attack DeSantis. All of them are clearly just trying to be Trump's VP. Some of them probably got in at the behest of Trump, which is really smart campaigning, by the way. But Chris Christie's not only an open opponent of Trump. I know people hate Chris Christie, and I do too. He's a really good debater, and he can savage you in the debate. People forget that he ended Marco Rubio's presidential run last time. Absolutely ended it in that one debate. What if Christie does that to Trump? That may be a wild card people aren't thinking about. He is a publicly declared enemy of Trump. That actually could get ugly for Trump in one of the debates.